Teaching is full of challenges, and the way teachers respond to those challenges can either light them up or burn them out. I'm Julie Hassan, educational researcher and author of the book Pause, Ponder, and Persist in the Classroom: How Teachers Turn Challenges into Opportunities. As a researcher, I started exploring the way teachers navigate challenges during the pandemic, because there's never been a more uncertain or demanding time to be an educator. And like everyone else, I hoped that as the threat of the pandemic lessened, teachers would start to fare better. But that hasn't been the case. They're leaving the profession in higher numbers than ever before. And it seems like teachers have two choices. Even though they still love their students and love teaching, they're deciding to quit because the price is just too high. Or they're choosing to stay, and often in doing so, they're sacrificing their physical or their mental health. I thought there has to be another way. It can't just be that our options are to quit, to leave our calling, or to stay in our calling and sacrifice ourselves. So I began to study teachers who were thriving, teachers who were navigating challenges in an effective way, and they weren't feeling the same level of burnout as some of their colleagues. I'm a qualitative researcher, which means I collect data through observations and interviews. So I spent hundreds of hours talking to these educators who seemed to navigate challenges well and who still self-reported a love for teaching and an intention to stay. And over these hundreds of hours of interviews and observations, this framework started to emerge. When I watched teachers navigate an unexpected challenge, they seemed to do these three things. First, they paused. They became aware of their own emotions, the stories they were telling themselves in the situation, and they started to regulate their emotions. They changed the narrative. They came back to a place of calm. They came back to a place where they felt more centered so that they could take an action that was helpful instead of harmful. Once they had paused and they were in this place of calm, they took a curious stance. So they pushed aside that initial narrative and all of those assumptions, and instead, they just got curious and started asking some questions. So first they asked themselves a question. What story am I telling myself? And then what else is possible? And then they asked questions to the other people involved in the situation, whether that's a student or a colleague or a leader, because they knew that in order to make a good decision, they had to have good information. And most importantly, they asked this question: what opportunities are hidden in this challenge? Because they knew there were either opportunities for their students to grow, whether that's academically, socially, or emotionally, or there were opportunities for them to grow as professionals, to build their skills as teachers, to grow that perseverance muscle. So once they got in this practice of pausing and pondering, it was about persisting. It was about staying in that dance of regulating emotions and getting curious and understanding that this is challenging work and that every day those challenges are going to come. And they adopted a mindset of, hey, what kind of adventures await for me today? Instead of going into a day expecting there to be no frustrations or obstacles or challenges. So that pause, ponder, and persist framework gave me a lot of food for thought. And I started to talk about that framework with educators all over the country and the world. And I found that many of the educators who are navigating challenges well are using something like those three steps. And they may not have called it pausing, pondering, and persisting, but when I listened to their words and when I observed their actions, that's what they were doing. Pausing is about becoming aware of our emotions, regulating them, and reappraising what they mean. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett says emotions aren't something that happen to us. Instead, we construct them based on what's going on in and around us. For example, if we have a stomach ache and we ate a big meal the night before, we will probably attribute that stomach ache to that big meal and reach for a bottle of antacid. But if we have a stomach ache and we had a big argument with a loved one the night before, we might reach for our therapist's phone number instead. Emotions influence what we do next, but really it's the meaning we give to those emotions that influences what we do. So if we can change that meaning, we can change our actions. Just like that stomach ache can mean two different things and influence you to take two different actions, you can construct the meaning that's most helpful for anything that you're feeling. If you've got the jitters or butterflies in your stomach because you've got to take a big test or record a video or speak to a room full of people, you would probably attribute that to anxiety or nerves or stress. But what if instead you decided that those butterflies and jitters meant determination because you're caring about what you have to do and you're determined to do it well? In any situation, because you have the ability to construct the meaning, you can construct a meaning that is helpful and empowering for you. That's what pausing is about. It starts when we feel those feelings rising, maybe some unhelpful emotions, and we take slow, deep breaths. We regulate those emotions and then we reappraise them. We decide that they mean something different. We construct the meaning. Pausing is a powerful first step in turning a challenge into an opportunity to make an impact for our students or for our own growth. But we don't want to just pause in difficult situations. We also want to pause when things are good. We want to pause and savor those moments of joy. We want to feel real gratitude. We want to pause and savor moments of awe. When I was on the way to work this morning, there was the most beautiful sunrise, and I pulled over and stopped and paused just to take it in. And it gave me fuel for the whole day ahead. Those moments when you pause when things are good help you balance out and keep you from being depleted when things are really tough. I hope I've given you a lot to think about around the power of pausing. In the next video, we're going to go to the next step, pondering, and talk about how taking a curious stance can help you turn any challenge into a powerful opportunity. And if you enjoyed the Pause, Ponder, and Persist book, please consider leaving a rating. On your favorite bookseller site or book review site, you don't even have to write a review. Just click some stars. It will help other readers find the book. And if you're enjoying these videos, please share them with another educator. I'd love to help as many educators as possible stay longer, grow stronger, and keep making an impact. I'll see you on the next video when we talk about pondering.